Well, today, Jeb Bush is pushing back against people who say his campaign is failing. The former Florida governor has been criticized for his lackluster performance in Wednesday's debate.
Though yesterday, Bush told reporters that his campaign is doing fine. CBS News senior political editor Steve Chaggaris is here with us to break it all down. Steve, there have been several reports now saying that Bush's campaign is in big trouble, yet he's still telling the press that everything's fine. So which one is it? I mean, I don't expect him to say things are falling apart, but what's going on?
I guess it's, what is your definition of fine? I mean, what they're saying is they've got money. They're not last place in the polls, right? They're doing okay. And they're not going to let one, terrible debate performance and the punditry that follows derail what they're trying to do. Now, in reality, we do know that they've laid off some people and they've cut salaries, and his fundraising isn't as robust now as it was earlier in the year. But he is in position to at least ride this out as long as he wants to ride it out. I mean, he's not out of money. He's just going to play the slow game here and try to build support slowly between now and Iowa, New Hampshire, and the early states, and see what he can do. But there's no magic silver bullet at this point for Bush. It's just grinding it out between now and the voting and seeing if he can improve.
But when you look at where he stands now, Steve, is there a real danger at this point that he could become the next Scott Walker?
I think they tried to head that off at the pass, right? So I think they saw that that could have been the case. If you saw what happened with Walker, which was he built a huge organization and didn't have the money to sustain it, and in fact found himself in a situation where he was literally out of money by the end of the first quarter of fundraising for his campaign. Bush's folks had $10 million at the end of September, but they saw the writing on the wall that the fundraising wasn't going to be as robust, and instead of spending what they had been spending in the past, they tried to cut spending, and so they laid some people off and cut salaries, and they think that they're built now to, at least have enough money to get to the early states.
There have been some serious rumblings now that several Bush donors are jumping ship, heading over to Marco Rubio's campaign following the debate. What do we know about that? Is that true?
Well, I think there's definitely rumblings. We haven't seen any kind of mass ship jumping yet. But, I think going into that debate, one of the goals for Bush was to calm donors down and have a good performance. He didn't do that. And the automatic response is, well, we think that, Marco Rubio will be the beneficiary of any kind of bad performance by Bush. I think you're going to start seeing, if it hasn't happened already, you'll start seeing people at least looking toward Rubio. He had a great performance. They had that one moment where Rubio really stood up to Bush's attack. And then pivoted and started talking about what he would do as president, and laid out his vision, which is, he calls a positive vision for moving forward. And so the thinking is, if there is some kind of mass movement, that Rubio would be the beneficiary of that.
So then could Rubio be maybe the next candidate that makes the moves? That's the candidate that's going to make the most noise leading up to the primaries?
Well, it's funny because we've been talking about that for months. You look at Rubio on paper, and there's a lot of attractive qualities to him. He's young. He's the future of the Republican Party. He's a very good politician, a great speaker. But he hasn't caught fire yet. He's had 3 good debate performances. He's still really polling around the same area as Jeb Bush right now. His fundraising is nowhere near some of the other candidates, people like Ben Carson and even Jeb Bush. Is this the moment for Marco Rubio? We'll find out. We'll see if he gets any kind of huge boost in fundraising, and we'll check the polls out in the next few weeks to see if this really is going to boost him. But to this point, he has not taken advantage of all the goodwill, at least all the good things that has been said about him.
All right, CBS News senior political editor Steve Chaggaris. Steve, thanks so much.
Thanks.
Don't forget to watch Face the Nation this weekend. John Dickerson will host newly elected House Speaker Paul Ryan, Republican presidential candidate Marco Rubio, and Democratic Congressman Steny Hoyer. That's this Sunday only on CBS.
And don't forget, next month, John Dickerson will be moderating the CBS News Democratic debate in Des Moines, Iowa. We'll stream it live right here on CBSN. That is November 14th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.